I'm sure some of you are still getting ready to come on camera. So thank you, Priscilla, for that. And as Priscilla was saying that, today we are in a world where virtual is reality, perhaps because of no choice, because of all that has happened last year and continues to get into this year as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is not going to be just a lack of choice, but going to be choice that we are going to make in the future to be more virtual, because it allows us to connect with people across the globe. We don't need to travel in, we can connect with anybody and everybody around the world. But of course, the flip side of that is, can we really connect? So today's session is all about exploring how we can convey our content as presenters and speakers, and also connect with our audience to the best that we can in a virtual setting. So thank you all for joining me. Priscilla already said this about engagement. Now, as speakers, as presenters, I'm sure all of you are always engaged when you're speaking, because that's the only way we can give something to our audience. But it is also true that as participants, when we are engaged, that's the only way we can take something from the session. So I invite you all to be engaged with your senses, 3 of the 5. Firstly, by seeing, of course, you're all watching, listening, and also you can use a little bit of touch. We'll be asking you to do some chats, and using the chat feature, you can actually experience being engaged through touch as well. We haven't yet explored how to do smelling and tasting virtually, so we'll keep those 2 out for this session. And if any of you are having your coffee, of course, you can enjoy that as well. So with that said, I think we're going to start with a very short video, isn't it, Priscilla? Okay.
Scandals happen all the time. The question is, how do democracies respond to those scandals?
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
That's right. Carry on.
My apologies.
What's this going to mean for the region?
My apologies. South Korea's policy choices on North Korea have been severely limited in the last 6 months to a year because.
How many of you hadn't seen this video before? It was viral, isn't it? All of us saw this? Yes? Okay. Okay. What did you notice? Just 3 of you who want to just, share, can just unmute yourself and share. What did you notice? What caught your attention? What caught your attention in that video? Let's go for it. Yes, Eva.
Well, I guess the kids. I'm sorry.
Yes, the kids. The kids, of course. Did you see the first one walking in so nonchalantly?
Yes. With a milk bottle, I
like,
think.
this is my space, That was the attitude of that kid. Yes. What else did you notice?
He tried to he apologized and then tried to continue on as if with all the background noise behind him.
Yes. And there was a moment briefly he closed his eyes as like, oh, I wish this didn't happen. So almost like wishing it, away. Well, that's the first thing that, I'm sure and I think I also want to ask all of you saying, how many of you have experienced these kind of moments? Maybe not children, but something else that has happened in your own virtual meeting when you were speaking or presenting, or at least witnessed someone going through it. Not this guy, but not this person, but someone who you knew was presenting. Yes. So the very first thing that I want to share with you all to really make your virtual meetings enjoyable and where you can connect and convey is to expect the unexpected. What does that mean? No matter how prepared we are, it's not to say, oh, you go in there with no preparation and then just see what happens. That's not what I'm talking about. Even after you prepare everything, you make sure that your connection is the best, you have the best lighting and you're in the right mood. Things can happen like the way it did in that video. So many things can happen. So when we have this attitude of expecting the unexpected, what that does for us is to really, it calms us down. So we are not like startled saying, oh my God, what just happened? We can just take it in our stride. Would you all agree that being calm and having your composure when you're presenting is one of the most important things? Because as speakers, we can be connected to our content because of the fact that we are calm and composed. So now, what does expect the unexpected mean? Okay, great. I expect the unexpected. Then what do I do with it? The choice is always ours. So the way I approach it is either to respond or not respond, but in both cases, it's my choice. And when it's my choice, it doesn't rattle me. For example, to expect the unexpected. It once so happened that I was expecting a very important delivery, and I'd informed my helper saying, watch out, there will be a ring and you must open the door when it comes because it's an important delivery, don't miss it. And then I was in my meeting, in a coaching meeting, and I kept hearing the bell going on and nobody opening the door. Now, when we expect the unexpected, we are able to respond to the situation because at that moment, probably the most important thing is to get that delivery. So what I did was to just excuse myself and go and get that delivery. And then I just came back into the meeting and I figured out later that my helper had gone inside a room and she couldn't hear the bell ringing at all for that moment. She was inside another room, inside her room. So 2 doors were shut. Well, what did that allow me? It allowed me to make sure that I got the delivery and I could get on going on with what I had to do that day. So that's one choice of responding. Sometimes you don't want to respond. The same situation, if you're not expecting something important, you may let it ring and it's okay and deal with it later. But the point is the attitude. To expect the unexpected allows us to be calm and composed and make our choices without being rattled. And that is my first tip and very important tip that I have learned along the way, which gives me the confidence as a speaker to be calm and composed and deliver my content the way I had planned it to be. Yes? Now, I want to ask those of you who have young children, does that happen? I mean, we just saw one video, but even older children, it's 8-year-old, 10-year-old, they're back from school and they need to come to you. They have to come to you for something at that point in time. How can you deal with that? Because you don't want to be constantly interrupted. And at the same time, you may not want to tell your child that do not come into my room when you see it's shut. You may want to have some kind of a way in which you can allow them to come in if they really need you and have a way to respond to them. So I'm sharing this tip with you because this is how I work with my daughter. So I don't tell her because I'm constantly on calls. I can't give her this, saying that if the door is closed, please don't come in. I let her know that you can come in if you really need to. But we have a way in which I use my left hand. We wave to her saying this, I show this to her, not now. And I'm keeping on talking. This is my gesture saying not now, which means she knows I cannot break away. If I can break away, then I'll excuse myself and attend to it. By this doing that, I feel that I'm allowing other people at home to also access me if they need to. It is not that they have to be totally scared that I'm presenting and there's no way I can enter into that room, because there will be some need. They may need me. At the same time, as a presenter, I am making the choice to respond or not. So expecting the unexpected, first of all, calms us down and gives us the choice to respond while we are presenting. Yes? Good. Now for the second tip, I'm going to invite you all to do a game together. And you'll see the purpose of that game later, right? So this game is, I'm going to just throw something on the screen. Coming up, what do you see? The fact is, everyone has a fun fact. We don't want any of you to be yawning and writing on your hands during this particular meeting. So we are going to do a very short exercise. How many do we have so how many do I count, Eva? Should I take 30 of us? 30 of you. Okay. So we will go into 10 breakout rooms of 3 each, please. And before you go in there, what are you going to do? You're going to get into the breakout rooms and you're going to come on camera. If you absolutely can't, it's fine. You can speak as well. And share one fun fact about yourself. And for all of you to get to warm up, let me share a fun fact about myself. So I have only one child. She's 10.5 years old. And she's now getting into the zone of wanting a sibling. And I can't have another child. So I pretend to be her younger sister. And we have so much of laughter where she has actually 3 younger sisters of different ages. And she tell me, now play this one, play that one. And I go into those baby voices and all the tantrums, and we have a great laugh. And that's my fun time with her. It lets me be lighthearted. And, that's my quality time with my daughter, one of the many things I do. So that's a fun fact about me that's only visible to my daughter. So now I request all of you to go into the breakout rooms. We'll take 3 minutes. Whoever wants to go first can start off and inspire the others to go next. Is that okay? Share a fun fact about yourself and come back to the main room in 3 minutes. And thank you, the support team, for creating the breakout rooms and getting everybody to go. Okay, I'm going to be in the main room.
Anu, I will have to reallocate some people into some breakout rooms because some people are alone.
Yes, no worries. If you could just move them, doesn't matter. Go for it. Shirley is still here. Is she going to be here? Okay.
333. I just want to make sure that nobody is alone.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
They're fine?
Yeah, I think they are between, most of them are 3, just a couple are 2.
2. Okay, that's
just
fine.
One room is 2.
Okay, then that's perfect. Thank you. And who am I speaking to right now?
Sorry, it's B. Sorry, I'm.
B. Okay, B. Yes, yes.
Exactly,
okay, B. No worries.
I can share you a fun fact.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Look. Let me put my video on, and you will start video. See, this is my daughter playing puzzle next to me, and she just left. So she was literally standing next to me because she's sick. So I'm trying to, like make the most of it and be focused, which is super difficult when there is toddlers around.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, B. I think Jo just joined us. She can just share her fun fact here. Someone else is also joining, Sabrina.
Yes, I'm trying to. Yeah.
Hi, Jo.
So Sabrina, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Sorry, we actually participants are now into breakout rooms, and the idea is to share
a fun fact.
A fun fact.
So Jo and Sabrina, you are here in the main room with us. You can share, I know you just came in, but a fun fact about yourself. Go for it, Jo.
So in my spare time, I enjoy taking swing dance classes. So that's dancing to jazz music from the 30s and 40s kind of style. Like
wonderful, dancing. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Sabrina?
Hello, hi everyone. Sorry for being late. I do volunteering work, for even climate change or even social enterprises during my free time. Yeah.
Okay, that's the fun fact, or is there anything else you want to say about a fun fact about yourself?
Okay, so I like photography. So I usually find sunrise or sunset spots, or even to snap photos. Yeah.
Snap photos, wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Is Shirley around? Shirley? Not applicable for audio video. Okay, no worries. Okay, great. Great. So we just did that exercise and we're going to soon have, I think, B, we can bring them back.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, I bring back everyone.
Yes, you just bring back everyone.
So the breakout room will close in 10 seconds.
Okay. Welcome back. Jenny is smiling. How was that?
Oh, I tell you, we have so much fun and we are like hoping not being kicked out from the breaking out room.
Over already? It's over already, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It is fun to have breakout room, right? We should have this more often, huh?
Yes, it's fun to have breakout room. It's fun to, just relax for a moment and, share those light-hearted things about us. Very good. I hope all of you found something to share. I'm sure when you heard the other people sharing, you had some more ideas coming up. Maybe there was more than one fun fact. But what was the point behind this is that the second tip about virtual meetings, and it's not about doing breakout rooms and fun fact sessions, it's about going beyond contact and connecting with people. Often it so happens that when we get into meetings and we are waiting for the others to come in, what do? We do this. Okay, I'll just join in a minute. Yeah, we just go off camera. But that moment is the moment we can all, how many of you have experienced this, right? Everybody's waiting, you just go off camera. But the whole idea is we don't have those physical spaces where we can network. So if we can be on camera and talk to the others who are there, and even if they're off camera, you can ask, those of you who are not seen, are you still around behind the camera? We can just, how has the day been? Or whatever, to just use that time to get to know people. And this exercise, why did I do this exercise? Just to help you all understand that it changes how we feel about the meeting when we connect, isn't it? From the time you came in, after you did the fun fact session, something shifted in us. Somewhere we felt that connection and we wanted to be more engaged. So by connecting, you're not just, connecting with people. It's an opportunity for you to be engaged. So use that as an opportunity and as a tip to be more engaged, which is just don't go off camera if you're waiting. See who else is there and connect with them. I'm going to ask you, what are the typical questions we could ask? Let's say we're all waiting. What are some questions that come to your mind to just keep the conversation going and to connect? What could we ask? 3 of you can just unmute and share, and some of you can even chat. Share with me some questions.
How's your day?
How was your weekend?
How was your weekend? Yes. How was your weekend? How has your week been so far if it's the middle of the week? Yes. What else?
How's your day going?
How is your day going? It's really cloudy here. Sometimes, Singapore, it can be so dark outside. You can say, how is it how it is on that side as well? So just want to connect with people to see wherever they are. And even asking people, if they're connecting from different parts of the world, where are they connecting from? So many meetings we have, virtual meetings, where not everybody is from the same country. So you can just say, where do we have people from today? Where are you from? So just those things where people can get interested, unmute and speak, and we get to know as well. So whose responsibility is it to make that engagement happen, to make that connection happen? It's with us. It's every one of us. So we don't need to wait for that opportunity. We can just do it ourselves. And trust me, it really, really changes the way we engage in that meeting. Yeah. So the second tip is go beyond contact and really make an effort to connect. It's not only connection that we're looking for, we're also looking for better engagement, because we tune in better when we connect with people. Sometimes this is overlooked, isn't it? Engagement is seen as just something that we can do to be just listening. But the truth is, when we connect, we engage better. We're curious about the question somebody is asking, or we're just wanting to be listening because we heard them talking about something else which interested us. In this fun fact exercise, some of you may have felt that somebody had a very similar fun fact like you. It just connects us differently when we get to know them. And if you think as presenters, if you want to have this as an icebreaker session, just feel free and courageous to do that. Put people in breakout rooms, let them share a fun fact and quickly come back. That will also make sure that they are relaxed and more engaged. Yeah,
great. Thank you so much, Anu. And I think it's a good reminder, because in our group, we were sharing about our pets and how they would, come on Zoom and, interrupt calls. And that was one of the challenges that we had, in this new virtual reality. And so I think that's my question to the audience, maybe for some of you who want to share you can unmute yourself or put in the chat group, in the chat function, that, what are some of the challenges or struggles that you have faced, during virtual meetings? It'd be great to hear from some people, to hear, whether it is, like for me, my dog would bark. My 75 kilo Saint Bernard would bark whenever we get deliveries. So, it's, and then we have cats who will walk across. I saw just now cats that's walking across the Zoom camera. Yeah. Like to hear if there's anybody else who, faces any other different kinds of challenges during virtual meetings.
Can I share, Priscilla? I think one of the ones that I've always had is your internet connection. I mean, we're lucky here in Singapore, but I think we've all got colleagues. It's just how to connect, and people zoom in and out, or the connection go up and down. So you're not quite sure if they can understand what's going on.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Pranav mentioned that is the same problem for him as well. Yeah. So that's great.
Also,
Thanks,
there's always construction in Singapore, and I feel like we all get one time construction, and you never know, but it happens when you least expect it, and there's nothing you can do, right? And I think we all had to deal with that, which is hard, because I feel like I struggle how to explain that, because it's not their problem, it's my problem, but there's nothing I can do. So how can I make sure that I still I'm engaging, and I'm still connecting, even though I have a huge distraction on me?
Yes. And like you just mentioned, Tati, that it is not their problem, but I can't do anything about it. So we all know this, right? Sphere of control and our sphere of influence and everything else. We're going to do whatever we can to make sure that we have the best connection, whatever is possible that point in time. Whatever lighting we can have, that's all within our control. Within our influence, I would say, is our external environment right outside the door. We can still influence that. We can say, don't disturb or don't make noise if children are at home. But outside of that, there are some things which are outside of our control. We cannot tell the management that, don't have drilling because I'm presenting. So it does happen sometimes. It can be very annoying. I mean, if you are the only presenter, obviously it becomes even more of a difficulty. But I would still say that, allowing that not to bother really requires you to say that, okay, it's outside my control and I'm going to do what best I can. So maybe you kind of shift your presentation like real time. You can change it to say, okay, we're going to have something on the screen for some more time than I thought I would. And you can have people chat and respond to you, and you can unmute and speak when it is a little silent. So just going with the flow is what I would say. And I have had these drilling moments as well in my presentations, and it has been quite disruptive. But nevertheless, my attitude is always, okay, now what do I do? So what, this has happened, now what do I do? What can I do differently?
I think we're all more humans this year on understanding this
absolutely.
As well. There's a question on the chat box about this as well. It's from Lilia. Sometimes challenging to establish connection on the virtual meeting, especially when people don't put the camera on, which was we were discussing. How to ask politely to put camera on and effectively, I think most importantly.
Yes. And that is what I would say was one of my biggest challenges, because I had gone from meeting people personally and doing my webinars and all my training workshops, and suddenly I went virtual and they were not visible. So I think few of the things we can do as presenters is to really, the way this morning we opened the meeting is to basically invite people, explain why it is so important that they're engaged, so that they can take away the maximum, and politely request them to be on camera. But the third tip I have is to actually believe that you're being heard all the time. So one of the problems I had was I used to talk to a lot of youngsters as well. I do mindfulness sessions for them and teenagers. All the screens are blank. They don't even have their own photo. So they just have a name, and that name is also sometimes a pseudo name. You don't even know which one is there. So I've insisted at least they should have their name. But there's a lot of screens which are blank, right? The only way as a presenter you can be more engaged, back to that question, is to believe that you're being heard even if they are not on camera, because allow them to each their own. It could be a situation where they can't come on camera for whatever reason after you have said it. So don't let it bother you. So after a point, after I mentioned, like this morning, I mentioned about engagement, I invited you all. At that point, I stop worrying about it. I don't let it bother me. I'm just going to go with the flow and be the best I can in today's meeting, irrespective. And I would say this, and I believe in this, that if every one of you was off camera, I would still just continue to go this way. Because at some point, it's gone beyond my sphere of influence and I can't do anything about it anymore.
And Anu, we have a question that came in, and I think two people is asking that, Erin and Lilia, talking about how do we acknowledge Zoom fatigue? You know, we're all on the camera, right? It's we're always on these calls, and it's yeah, there's this term of Zoom fatigue. How do we acknowledge this issue, or how do you address this issue?
Yes, and that is again by being able to, you know, make that choice yourself. Very, very valid point about Zoom fatigue. I go through it myself. By end of the day at 8 p.m., I don't want to be, you know, on camera anymore. And that's the time, instead of being silent at my end, when the speaker is going on saying, can you all come on camera? I would actually chat and say, I've had a whole day of meetings, prefer to be off camera and, you know, just listen silently. So it's okay to express that. Right? So don't feel that you are pressurized at any point in time. Zoom fatigue, as a speaker, you don't have a choice, but as a listener, you can make it. And a lot of times people have said to me when I'm talking one-on-one to them, saying, I've had enough of camera time, so I'm going to be only speaking to you, you only listen to me, you will not see me. And when they said that to me, I just felt much more comfortable, right? I didn't have to think saying, why are they not on camera? Because they made the choice and they communicated that. So that's the way I would say.
Great, thanks, Anu. And maybe just back to the point about being presenters, right? I mean, we, you know, it's a new way of presenting, you know, as opposed to in person, you know, where people can see us and can, you know, so how do we actually increase our own comfort and confidence level in virtual presentations?
First and foremost is to not hide behind slides. That is the first thing I would say as a presenter, have as much face time as possible. Because when you have FaceTime, you have a better opportunity to be able to connect with your listeners. So that is one thing that sometimes I see a lot of times, that the slide is there and you can see the presenters only on the side, the people who are speaking on the side. The way to change that is to, unless you have to absolutely throw something on the screen, you don't need to, just have more FaceTime. And that is something which takes practice, because you don't want to be having FaceTime all the time. So one of the tips is to go in front of the mirror and talk to yourself more and more. You know, that on every screen, there's the green dot, which is the camera. Right now, I'm looking into it. But when I started earlier on, I couldn't, because it felt so odd to be looking at a green dot and speaking. But that's something which we need to train on, because when we don't do that, our listeners are not able to engage with us, because they see that we are not talking to them. So as a presenter, you need to switch into that mode of breaking your own comfort zone, right? And even if you're physically presenting, imagine a physical setting and there are people on their phones or talking to someone next to them. Don't you not, as a presenter, ignore that and just speak to those people who are listening by making eye contact? This is how you make eye contact, by looking at that green dot. So that has not changed. You're still making eye contact, only that you're just doing that with one single dot.
And sorry, just to ask another question on that. I also believe that it's hard when people talk over you in meetings. You know, you are trying to get your point across, and some people are louder than others. And of course, in video, it's even much more difficult to be like, I'm here and make a point. So how can you recommend to, you know, build up that confidence to, you know, to reach out, to say something, to make sure that you're also seen and that your point gets across?
Very good question, Tati. I'm going to ask people what they do before sharing what I do. I'm sure many of you have faced this, and there may be some strategies out there. What are some of the things that has worked for the audience today in this group about being interrupted and not being allowed to share your point of view fully? What can you do? Or what have you done already?
Well, I'll start. Sometimes I will just like kind of say, sorry, I want to say something, and then I'll just say what I want to say. So I politely, like, put that person a little bit like quieter if they're talking too much, and then try to get my point across. Because sometimes the meetings are very limited. That's what I do, but I'm very loud, so I can do that.
Yeah, so if the point is worth making, then you will need to, make that space for yourself. Sometimes the point that you wanted to make gets covered anyway. Sometimes, people say that, oh, I was going to second that. If you don't get an opportunity to do that, it's okay. Maybe you can say it on chat. But if the point is valid and nobody has made it, then you have to say, I have another point I would like to add here, which is very pertinent. Can I have a moment, please? So you're taking their attention back to say that there's something that you want to share, which is different or will add to what has been said already, but it's not a repetition. So yes, Tati, that's the only way if you have to really put your point across. You can use chat, but that can get ignored as well because maybe somebody is not reading the chat. Yeah.
Well, going to your point, I had a lot of people ask this question, and I think that we've all been, unfortunately, victims and witnesses of being dead by PowerPoint, right? On our lifetime, I'm sure we all have been through presentations which, we just want to get out of there, or we also have had the situation where we just don't know what to do with the slides and just overload them, and I think this is something that it's killing a lot of people at the moment, especially because of the virtual communication. So yeah, so how can we use this channel? Because we have to. I mean, we all have slides from our companies we have to use, and how can we get it to be more actual powerful and not, actually kill us in the meeting?
Death by PowerPoint, yes.
Death by
actually a phenomenon where the presenter keeps going on and on and on, just reading through the slides, and it is terrible. Yes, it's a very valid point. And maybe just to sort of get a view from the audience, I would like to take a poll on this in terms of how you look at PowerPoint. There are only 2 questions. Take a shot at that, and then we will talk about it. Okay, meanwhile, I'm just going to go through so can we have the poll on the screen, please? Okay, all of you, please take it. Are you able to? Yes, I can see some responses coming in. Okay. I like to use slide to convey most of my points. Okay, great. Okay, we still have few more to go. Let's do that. A lot of you say you like to use slides. Great, which is fine. One thing I ensure about my slide deck is, okay, good. Can we just do a screen grab of this? Great. I'd like to use slides as much as possible to convey my point, which is okay. But I invite you all to think about this. The presentation has always been and will always be the presenter. What do you think about this? The presentation has always been and will always be the presenter. So the slide or the PowerPoint is nothing but an aid which can help us put some points powerfully. So it's okay to use slides, but we want that objective to be met, which is to put my points powerfully. It is not to repeat my points or not add value. Do you all agree? Yeah, the slide deck is to put my points powerfully. Second question, one thing I ensure about my deck. Now I'm going to cover a lot of that, but I asked one question there, not to have too many slides. Having too many slides has never been the problem. It's about how we are presenting or what is on the slide, which has been the problem. So death by PowerPoint is not because we have 45 slides in our deck. Death by PowerPoint happens when we have 5 slides in our deck, but every slide is so tedious to understand that we just give up. So I really want one of the tips about your slides, don't worry about the number of slides. That has never been the problem. All right. So now I'm going to share with you some tips that I use, and I will also, share with you from where I got that source, because there's a lot more you can get from there. Let me first bring up my presentation today and let's see whether I can engage you. Okay. Coming up now. Do you all see it? This person who's standing there and wondering how to build this deck. The goal is to make sure that whatever is the objective of the meeting is being best conveyed. Now, the pieces of the puzzle could be a breakout room, talking like this to the audience, or it could be a slide. So you as the presenter has to decide whether you want to have a slide or not to powerfully convey that point. That's the first thing, right? So it's a puzzle. It's not about just putting the deck together. You need to also ask that question, is it better that I don't have a slide here and actually talk to the people or ask them a question or ask them to engage with me? So that's the first thing. Now you're going to see an example of a slide and then I will explain the tips. Okay. Do you all see this slide? Please take a look at this slide. Okay. This is from one of the webinars that I do on imposter syndrome. Now, when you see this slide, can some of you share with me? Is this slide okay? What is the first thought which comes to you? Let's unmute and quickly speak. Is it good?
It's too busy.
It's busy. Okay, what else?
Camera is the other way around.
Camera is the other way around. Okay. Yes, that's correct.
Some,
focused on the person. Yes.
I think there's repetition, like reframe as the title, and you have reframe in the graphic as well. Yeah. So that's
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So let's look at the slide now. I've just redone this slide. So that's the first slide. Second slide, sorry. Second, third, fourth. I'll go back again. First slide. So I redid that one slide as four pauses for the audience. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the difference between that slide and these 4 slides, you think?
Reframe is the main subject, and then later on is the sub-subject that you want to ask later on with the one only main attractions on the main topic, reframe. Very good.
So there's only one message per slide. So the first one I showed you, it explained reframe, it explained all the 3 things, and there was one kind of a thing on the right side, an object, which was too busy. So I made this into a tile view to just explain that what if there were so many messages on the slide, the audience is just trying to understand where to go. So there has to be only one message per slide. So again, I would like to mention that the number of slides is never the problem. So if you have to make 1 into 4, but powerfully you're going to get to the point, that's what we need. So that's the first tip. And this has radically changed the way I'm starting to do my slideshows. 1 message per slide. Yes? All right. Next, let's see. Same thing. One of you mentioned the sentence. Do you see that? So if I was presenting this, I said, okay, now I'm going to explain about reframe. Reframing is helping you or another person to constructively move on from a situation in which you or the other person feels stuck or confused. What did I just do? I had a sentence on the screen and I spoke about it as well. This is a no-no. Don't have sentences on the slide which you're going to read out. I'm sure many of you know this, but we all make this mistake. I make this mistake, so I need to remind myself to not have a sentence and read it out. Rather, I would just have the whole screen filled out with an image which is so powerful, and I'm going to speak over it about what reframing is. Do you see the difference? Very simple, but it changes the audience. The audience are now looking at it, and because of the visual, they can connect to the topic better rather than previously trying to read that sentence along with me. So the second tip is don't use sentences. If you decide to use them, keep them out there for them to read. You don't read it. Maybe it is a quote that you want to have on the screen, but you don't want to read that quote. It could be the last slide or somewhere very powerful where you want to leave a message. Yes, good. Third one. Look at this slide. It has animation. So instead of having everything at one go, I had animation. But what's the problem again with this slide? It's too busy, and perhaps we don't need to have so much in this slide. As a presenter, I would change this slide to just this. There's a visual in the previous slide, but there was too much text. But this particular visual conveys everything. Reaching out. It's up to the audience who they want to reach out to, but that visual is so powerful. So use visuals, use the entire background, use a lot of contrast. The problem with the previous one, it's white and clean, but I still like this. Don't you all agree? The contrast allows us to engage better with our eyes. It catches our attention. Yes. Okay. Last tip. Oh, that was actually the tips, but I wanted to share with you a recap of all that. The first thing is one message per slide. Second thing is not having sentences and reading them at the same time. Rethink how you can do it. If you need to read the sentence, it cannot be on the slide. Third one, no more than 6 objects. The examples that we saw previously, at the start, somebody said it's busy. What does it mean? There's too much on the screen. So it's recommended that there is not more than 6 objects. So if you need to have text, if you need to have an object on the screen, it's okay, but no more than 6. More than 6 is too busy for the mind to absorb. Now, where did I get all this? There's enough content on the internet, but I would request you all and really encourage you all to look at a TEDx video. And the 3 things which are not shown here, you will learn from the TEDx video. So that's an incentive for you to see it. What is the TEDx video? How to Avoid Death by PowerPoint by David Phillips. He's done a fantastic TEDx talk. And after I saw it, it really changed the way I started. Before that, I had, mind you, attended a lot of sessions. I'd heard about this, but it never shifted me the way this one did.
Thank you, Anu. I think that, yeah, I mean, I didn't want to interrupt, but we are a little bit short of time, but it was so important to finish, of course, what you were saying. And I think everybody was taking notes, and I think it was really important. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's really something that is going to, I think, stay with us. We have to be a little bit mindful of the time because some people also have to leave, and we want to make sure that they see all of the presentation. Yeah, just to wrap up, thank you so much for joining us. I think if you wanted to just give a little bit of a small, just a wrap up on your side of tips, an extra tip that could help people as well. Maybe
that was the last slide, Tati. I'm done with my deck. Okay. So the only thing I wanted to just share with people, so that was about virtual meetings. We talked about 3 tips. We talked about 3 tips for the slideshow as well, and I'm happy to share the deck with people. And the link as well, I'll just quickly put it on the chat group. But I also wanted to share very briefly about my KeyNote journey. I joined KeyNote last year. And one thing that happened for me in KeyNote was the fact that I found my story. So a lot of the times we think, oh, do I have to talk about something? Is there a story that I want to share? Going into KeyNote allowed me to really find my story, discover what I want to talk about. And I think that has led me on this journey where I am today. I don't talk about virtual meetings in KeyNote. In my KeyNote topic is on congruence and equilibrium and so on, which is my personal life experience. But that experience of working with ladies who are like-minded, who really want to, make an impact through speaking, changed my perspective, and I found what I was looking for. So I'd highly encourage people who are taking this year's KeyNote from WOMAG to enjoy your experience. There'll be something for each one of you. And those of you who are considering it, to surely go for it the next time. With that, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Anu. I think we all should really clap for you. It was really interesting. It was really engaging, and we definitely learned. And I think that KeyNote is a program that WOMAG has aligned with and really believes in. And I think that more and more that we are living in this virtual reality, these programs are going to be a must for us to gain the confidence to be able to to handle all of this new world that we're in. So the KeyNote program with WOMAG has already been starting. It's going to start already in the next weeks, but we're going to do much more. So if you guys are interested, please join our LinkedIn, join of course our website and membership, and you can get more information on this. But for now, I don't want to leave everybody else, but thank you so much for joining and for being here. You guys make WOMAG what it is. And we're very happy to share all this information with all of you. So there's a lot of questions in the chat that I will send to Anu, and she will help us reply later. And please stay tuned with all the information through our LinkedIn page. So thank you so much for coming. Have a great middle of the week, or almost of the weekend. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
So I've just placed the YouTube video on the chat, and it'd be great for all of you ladies to connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you for your time again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anu. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I knew maybe you